podcast where we talk about all things romantic comedy, but mostly the bad ones. My name is Zach.
I'm Haley.
I'm Edward.
And you know what it is. It's the McConaughssaince.
Woohoo!
We're talking...
All right.
All right.
Was that the famous catchphrase or a thing you're just saying?
I don't know. Both, neither. Why
Fun.
not? Yeah,
It's a good time.
We're having a good time.
For those of you not in the know, we're doing all Matthew McConaughey, who was arguably the king of romantic comedies from around 2002 to 2009. Really diving in.
And what a fallen king he was.
Sorry, I guess I should have said Academy Award winner Matthew McConaughey, because he is that now. And to talk about today's film, we have a wonderful guest. He's a very funny comedian from right here in New York City. Please put your little paws together for J.W. Crump. Hello, J.W.
Hello, all the people with paws that are listening to this.
This is for cats, actually. So
They put it on at the shelter downtown, and the animals, I heard, get very aggressive.
Yeah.
So it's bad. J.W., thank you for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me choose which McConaughey I wanted, because for those at home, a little peek behind the curtain, they asked me to do this at a bar and then asked me which movie, and I had never seen this one. And now I own it, because that was the only way. It's not streaming anywhere. It's great. I'm really glad I picked this one because, as Zach knows, my background's a lot in like horror sci-fi, and I think I picked the one that was in some ways the best of both. Oh, the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, true.
But the best combination of the two.
There was a fantasy element to it, which of course we'll be discussing. That,
which I did not get until much later into the film. We'll get to that.
You didn't hear those music cues that told you, now it's weird.
No,
that
it's
was just
weird.
Yeah.
JW, I know you're a big horror fan.
Yes.
You love the sci-fi world.
Yes.
You host a very cool show, a live show called Gas Station Improv.
Gas Station Horror.
Okay,
Gas Station
I'll
Horror.
take that from the top.
Don't cut it out. It's good.
No,
I
take it
like
from the top. I gotta take it
I
from
know
the top.
someone who does that.
Who? Let's just keep it going. I don't want him to take it from the top.
It's called Gas Station Horror.
Who do you know?
Well,
Who do you know?
I don't know if they do it all the time, but I know you brought on Chris Pappas at one point.
Chris Pappas is one of my best friends. We wrote a TV pilot that was in the New
really?
York TV Fest together.
Oh,
hey,
great.
Chris.
Yeah, he
Happy birthday tomorrow or Friday.
Right.
Whatever
yeah,
this is, because this is in the future.
He invited us to, yeah. And then someone else whose name Michelle.
Chris was a
Michelle
guest.
something or other.
Michelle Thomas.
Yes.
Michelle. Yeah. Michelle is a permanent cast member. Lovely. And Chris was a guest. Well, guys, I feel very comfortable thanks to Edward.
Yeah.
Way better than you fucking up that intro.
What's it called again? The Meet Cute. So, what is Gas Station Horror? What do you do?
Sure. So we take minute-long clips from 9 different horror movies per show. So there's always different clips, always different things. And we'll show the minute-long clip to the audience and the performers for the first time. That's very important. The performers have not seen these clips. And I made them such a long time ago that I don't remember them. And as soon as the clip fades out, the performers finish the scene, come on stage, finish the scene however they want to. So it's a lot of the dumb setup scenes from horror movies that you kind of forget are there because we only get to see like the kills and all this other stuff. So also, if you hate horror movies, it's perfect for you because I'm not showing you the scary scenes.
No spooks for you.
And most of the time afterwards, people are like, I've never wanted to watch a horror movie, but now that I've seen that stupid clip, I really think I want to get into it. So it's really fun. And we just had our 70th show in December. Thank you. And we were extended through 2019.
That's so awesome.
That's so fun.
Yeah. I can't believe I've done anything 70 times.
I've pooped 62 maybe.
Yeah, we've done 600 movies at this point. Literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on the other side of the coin, how do you feel about rom-coms?
You know what? I feel like I made so much of my career as a comedian in commentary on bad media
Yes.
that I should watch more of them. But here's the thing. I mostly, exclusively at the moment, date men. And so I feel like guys don't go to rom-coms as much, or they go with their friends. I don't think we go to them for dates.
They're called chick flicks for a reason, or at least that's what they were coined in the early 2000s when there was like gay panic.
Well, I was thinking about this. I would love a gay romantic comedy that wasn't also campy, even though these are.
I would love,
because we always have to have it be a comedy.
Yes, or why can't we have like a gay rom-com, boy, girl, whatever it be, that's not also just like a coming out tale?
Right.
Why can't it
we
also
have
just
Ghosts of
be a
Girlfriends
sweet
Past,
rom-com?
but with two
Yes.
women?
Yeah, why can't it be a stressed out male journalist or a female journalist who's into like a schlubby
I would
same-sex?
love to see one gay movie that didn't have a coming out story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll pitch it. I would like a gay movie where someone came back in.
They're just like,
Was like,
not for me.
whoops, I tried a thing.
Oh, this is what gay is? No,
no, I don't like
Water
it.
is cold.
My-
Oopsies.
Religion was right. I would actually pay to see that movie if anyone's out there.
Let's never tell them what movie this is.
This is why I gotta be here sometimes.
I
Otherwise,
know.
we'd get real carried away and not even introduce this 2009 American romantic comedy film, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. And yes, it is based on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Let's get to that immediately.
I did not get that until Michael Douglas showed up, and I was like, oh, I'm dumb.
I don't think you're dumb because I don't want to skip ahead too much because we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yes,
but
of course.
when Michael Douglas shows up, that's when it becomes a Christmas Carol.
when it-
Before
Yeah.
that, it's just
It's
a douchey
a
guy
setup.
sexing up women,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is not what a Christmas Carol was at
No,
all.
but then I was
Which
like,
is-
oh, the title was a pun on that. I didn't know. I don't know
mean,
why
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
stupid.
realize it was.
that was
not
a dumb
pun on
move.
that.
Sure.
Now, before we really get into this, I have something I need to get off my chest. We just watched a bunch of like romantic Christmas movies where there's like a Christmas wedding. This would be the movie to make during Christmas. It was a wedding. It was spaced around a wedding, and it wasn't during Christmas, yet it was very strictly based on A Christmas Carol. Why could
The
this wedding
most
not
famous
have
Christmas.
been during Christmas?
And also, it was snowing 24/7.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just make the wedding like December 20th.
put them in Santa hats.
When was
That's
it
all you had to
released?
do.
Was it released around Christmas? Does
I don't- let's
Wikipedia
get-
say?
Yeah, that's a good
No,
question.
it was released May 1st, 2009.
Well, that's
the
bizarre.
Christmas of May?
that
think
feels
is
like a
strange.
mistake, like it got held up or
Yeah.
something.
I think it's like a Hollywood thing, though. You have to pay every time you say the word Christmas in a movie, so I think they were trying to like save costs.
Is this a bit?
Why on earth would that be real?
No.
Happy
pay
birthday.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, happy birthday was the
you're
thing we had to
absolutely
pay
right.
for
Right.
like a minute ago.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with that, Ailey. This just make it at Christmas. This would be like it would just make sense if it were. It was
We've
confusing that
watched-
it wasn't.
So many movies where it was like clearly not a Christmas movie, but they were like, we'll make it Christmas. We'll just somehow make it Christmas, put
Princess
trees
Switch.
up, and now it's the Christmas wedding or the Christmas prince or whatever. This could have been a Christmas movie. Oh, lost opportunity.
While we're introducing the movie, I've listened to a bunch of. I'm a fan of the show. I've listened to past episodes. Can I just say that me and Haley have something in common? I, until listening to your podcast, didn't realize that her name was pronounced Garner and not Gardner.
Yes.
I have been saying Jennifer Gardner
Oh.
exclusively my entire life, and I have no
Yes.
idea why. Because I looked at the name and I was like, "There's no D there. What why is this my
Why would she-
Bernstein Bear moment that I've
I
been?"
swore there was a D in it.
Me too.
My
Why
whole
is-
life.
Was it pronounced that way one time
Maybe.
famously, and now that's in our head? Did she win an award and someone,
I don't know.
Azel Dunita or whatever that was?
A delta seam.
Yeah.
I think Zach and I saw Electra one too many times
Yeah.
to know that it's not Gardner.
Ooh.
2000 and something's Electra.
Yeah. Anybody want to binge Alias real quick, out of respect?
So this film, I'm just gonna get right into it.
Yeah, let's start.
All right,
Oh
that
my
was practice.
goodness.
Now for the real thing.
Yeah, hit record.
This film was directed by Mark Waters.
Oh, a guy.
Directed, and written by. Do we know these names? John Lucas and Scott Moore.
George Lucas wrote this movie.
And Steven Spielberg.
What?
No, Jonathan Lucas wrote The Hangover, 21 and Over, and Bad Moms.
It's
And
21 and over.
I don't know. I was just reading credits.
It's a sequel to
Scott
21.
Moore has no biography, and Mark Walters has directed. Oh wow! Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, Mr. Popper's Penguins, and Vampire Academy. What? Two of those are very good.
Well, a few of those have sort of a fantasy element to it. It's like a kind
Yeah.
of zippy. So actually, that makes sense. It's in line with his repertoire. It's
Yeah.
not his best movie.
So
But it's not his worst movie, Vampire Academy.
we open on Connor Mead, played by Matthew McConaughey.
And how do you know it's his name? Because Mead is the first word you see on a door.
Nice.
The very first this is one of the few movies where I learned most of the character's name because half the dialogue is Jenny Connor, Polly.
You're right.
And her name is also just Jenny, which is helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Jenny Gardner.
Jenny
is her
Gardner.
character name.
And they're constantly just like, I can't believe Connor Meade's doing this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What do you give a shit
Yeah, they
about?
treated him like he was a celebrity, which he was a famous photographer in the film. So, which I don't know many photographers' names.
I guess this whole thing, he was like
Annie Leibovitz and no one else.
he was
Anyway.
he's a bad boy womanizer photographer.
Yeah.
Probably has a bunch of like scandals. He's kind of a hot shot guy.
Yeah.
We talked about before rather. He's photographing Christina Milian's character, and she's a musician, and she's full on insulting her music, everything, and then cut
Which
to
is
her.
hilarious because I didn't realize it was Christina Milian.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did they make her a singer? And then the joke is it's basically
But-
actually Christina
but at the same
Milian. But she
time,
also
it's like-
insults her own music. I
she
was
also
like, well,
doesn't get
take
a
that piss out of
song.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like they could have
She's
just
not on the
cast-
soundtrack,
Yeah.
which is insane to me.
Have you been listening to the soundtrack?
No, I just looked it up because I was like, oh, the only reason she's there is she was promoting
She
a
must,
single.
sure,
She must
sure.
have had a love song come out. No.
Yeah, so why cast her? I
But
don't know.
before we get to her, the first thing he does, and I hate this in movies, is he goes up. Everyone else has set up a camera for him. There are two models. He takes one shot with an old-timey camera. This is before he even gets to Christine Milian's
Yeah.
character. And he's like, got it, and then leaves. I'm like, no photographer in the world
Has
takes
ever done
a
that.
shot with an old-timey camera.
They're like, perfect, done. Send it to print.
I want to fuck you. Bye. Like, that's... Oh.
Yes. And it's always women in their underwear. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Christina Milian's shot, is it Christine or Christina?
Christina.
Christina Milian's shot is her, he pitches her in her underwear with an apple on her head, and a sixth place Olympian archery star shoots the apple on her head.
Keiko, I believe is her name.
Yes.
Yeah, we cut to Christina Milian like straddling him, like making out with him, being like, "Just listen to my music, you'll see it." And he was just like, "Why you gotta make music when you're beautiful? Just do one thing."
Oh, that's right. I
Which
wrote
is
that
like,
down.
ugh. And then he goes, wait. He's got this assistant who walks in and is like, "You have to break up with these women on Skype."
Oh, don't just call her the assistant because this is my favorite character.
He's a delight.
First of all, an actual like.
Oh, you know what? There's the diversity.
I was about to say,
I'll
but
take
also
that.
true. Her name is
True.
Melanie or Mel, and one time M.
Ooh.
They just really give her a diversity of name because she's the only one who cuts through his bullshit.
Yes.
And what's funny is he never he makes her do terrible stuff, but most of the time she just says no. That's not my job. And also, like he never like threatens to fire her or anything.
Yeah,
like
he
because
also-
she's a good assistant. I wanted to see much more from her perspective and was so excited when she had a bigger role than I thought she would
Yeah.
later in the movie.
Also, he doesn't try and have sex with her.
He makes one joke about it later.
It's
Yeah.
almost like if Jennifer Garner weren't in the movie and she was played by someone more famous, she would be the romantic
done
interest
it.
by
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah,
I
why
actually
not?
thought she was going to be like an ex or something. But
Right.
instead they just made her a nice, strong female character.
Yeah, I
She
didn't
was
even
good.
realize
She
that.
gets points.
Justice for Mel.
Yeah.
At one point, Christina Milian says, and I wrote because this is exposition line. She says, "You're the biggest jerk ever, but you're famous for it." I'm like, ooh.
I literally wrote that exact line because I was like, there's the log line of the character.
Oh, hey, I wrote that too.
Hat trick.
So he pulls up these three women on Skype and he's like, "We're breaking up."
It's a conference call.
Yeah,
with
it's
three
insane.
people.
And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm Matthew McConaughey. They break up, and then he goes back to like doing Christina Milian.
Yep.
But that conference call was the only thing I cringed during that made it feel very 2000s. Was that while there's a big like group discussion of them hating him, which I also liked, that they weren't like trying to win him back. They were just like all three of them like, no, you suck, you're terrible. Well, one woman says that he's mentally retarded, but because of the
Yes.
way it's mixed, you only hear blah, blah, blah retarded. And you're like,
yeah.
You're like, yikes. You really needed to sound mix that differently to make that joke play.
Joke is a nice word.
And between that and what happens in Vegas, which came out the year before, I'm glad we started to phase that out as like a joke line in the late 2000s. Because
Yeah.
watching those movies now, I'm like, what? Did they think that was like funny? I don't know. It kind of just like hurts to hear.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a stand-up comedian recently whose entire bit that is he wants to get permission back to say that word, and someone in the audience. I usually hate hecklers, but this guy was bombing the entire time. And someone in the audience just goes, "It's a pretty bad word." It's like a full quiet sentence. And I was like, yeah, I hope he hears that.
Yeah.
So Mel, that's her name?
Yes.
Mel. She tells Matthew McConaughey that he has to go to his brother's wedding because for the rehearsal dinner. So he goes. It's at this beautiful like mansion in a wintry wonderland.
Our setting for the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
movie.
this is definitely a very like Stockholm syndrome film where it's like this could be adapted for the stage quite easily.
It's the mother of rom-coms.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like what happens with weddings, right?
It's
Sometimes
true.
if everyone's traveling to one destination, you're just trapped there. Because my favorite scene in the movie is way later where everyone's just post-rehearsal chilling and talking about them. Because it was the only time they talk like people.
Yeah. No, it's true. They're like hang out and
When
enjoy
they're just
each other.
half drunk.
Yes.
That's the best.
So he shows up, and the groom, who I guess is his brother, we find out, runs and is like, "Hey, came!" And I'm like, "Yeah,
He's your best
he's your
man.
best man and your brother. I hope he'd come."
And as
he's
we find
famous.
out, the only member of your family.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what he says. He says he's the only member of his family. I guess we find out later why.
What's that actor's name, the brother?
Breckenmeyer.
Breckenmeyer.
He's
wrote-
always nice.
I wrote
I like him.
so Matthew McConaughey's like, "Don't get married. It's bad, bad, bad."
Oh yeah, he
And
fucking hates.
I wrote in
weddings.
my notes, Matthew doesn't want Garfield to get married. And I'm realizing now why I wrote that.
Why did you write that?
Because Breckenmeyer played John in the live action Garfield.
Oh, that adds up.
Oh.
That's funny.
But looking at the note now, not remembering, I had a quick second of like, what happened yesterday when I watched this movie? Did I think the brother was Garfield the cat?
The cat?
So Connor Mead, aka Matthew McConaughey, really doesn't want his brother to get married. He's like, "I can get you out of this." I don't know.
We can kill her tonight.
And Jennifer Garner is the bride's
She's
maid of
the
honor.
Best woman.
Best woman. I almost said that too. The maid of honor, and she's in charge of making sure everything goes well. And she clearly has a past with Connor Mead. I don't know what it is, but she has a hold on him.
And luckily we know this because everyone discusses it out loud.
Yes.
Just like, is it okay that you guys are together? And then later Breckenmeyer, Paulie, is like, see, I knew it wouldn't be weird that you two are together. I'm like, we all know. Everyone in the room knows what's happening.
You know, you, Connor Mead, and her, Jenny, you had a past together? You're fine now.
Jenny,
Now
whose
she's
last
uptight.
name is just always an Italian P word. Peraldo? Pavaldo?
We'll keep making it up.
Also, she talks so close to him when he's like, "Why don't we fuck?"
They talk.
And she talks like in his mouth. She's like, "I will never do that with Connor Mead." I'm like, "You are doing it
You
now.
are
This is
groping
inhuman."
him.
Like you
Yeah.
may as well be in each other.
yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, that's a like filming trope of rom-coms where it's like, oh, they hate each other, but they talk so close.
Which in other rom-coms makes more sense because they're either just exes and or meet each other and hate each other.
Right.
You find out later they're super best friends from forever
Yeah.
ago. Not like currently, but
Right, but they grew up together.
Like have
yeah.
childhood and like trauma together.
they had
Like
to have 3 different actors portray each of these characters. Like they've known each other for a while. I also want to say, because I always like her and I feel like she never got her due, Lacey Chabert plays Sherbet.
Yeah, I wonder how do you pronounce
May
it?
First Meg from Family Guy plays
Yep.
yes, and Gretchen Wieners.
oh yeah, of course, obviously. I only saw Mean Girls 2 years ago. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah,
I
That's
wish
a
I
fun
could
fact.
see it for the first
Well,
time.
this is
again.
it just
Yeah.
realized same director as Mean Girls, so there we go.
Oh.
Makes sense.
He just a big Lacey fan. What's her character's name? Sandra.
Sandra, Sandy,
Is it Sandra?
yeah. He
Yeah.
calls her Paulie calls her Sandy, but yeah, Sandra.
Sandy.
Paulie and Sandy.
It's me, Garfield.
That's a weird non sequitur line. That's
wait.
probably why you wrote her down.
Yeah.
Our
I guess so.
characters' names are Polly, Sandra, Dina, Donna, Denise, and then 3 dudes who I do not believe get names.
Ugh, I forgot about those.
Oh yeah, they're
3
just
weirdos.
like Paulie's like work friends. Like,
Tech
where does he
friends?
work? GameStop.
Yeah.
Those are teenage boys.
They also all had like pagers and like
Yeah.
ill-fitting glasses and
like long cargo shorts.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like poorly fitting shirts. I'm like, you're at a dress rehearsal. Like, get yourself together.
I don't know why in these movies the dude's friends always have. I guess it's to make that person seem cooler and more handsome.
Yeah, I
But
guess.
the women got to be, except for being promiscuous, fairly normal human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dudes are always just so slubby,
Yeah.
so unattractive. Paulie has to be the best of them
Of
somehow.
the schlubs.
Yeah.
So after the rehearsal, they have, the rehearsal dinner afterwards. And, of course, we have to have the Bridezilla moment where Sandra is freaking out over, like, the salad.
Figs. There's no figs.
There's no figs in her salad, and she wanted figs in her salad, and blah blah blah. Bridezilla, most important day of my life. Which in these movies, why can't the man ever care about these things?
Yeah.
I suppose that's supposed to be a real life thing, but come on, why is it always like the bride has to freak out over like these were supposed to be peonies and
Because,
they're
like,
pansies?
Because like
I
if
don't know.
I don't know, I feel like maybe it's something ingrained in us. But if the man did it, Breckenmeyer specifically, because he's kind of like adorable. If he did it, it'd be almost endearing. It'd be like, oh, what a little nerd and like a little funny guy. You'd almost laugh.
Yeah, that
But
could
when
be a
she does
thing.
it, you're just like you automatically are supposed to be like, oh,
It's
he's-
true.
yeah, you're just like, oh, what a crazy woman.
But they even do that now because the tropes evolve to be like two men getting married, and it's still just one's obsessed with the wedding
Modern
and
Family.
one's not.
And one
that's-
doesn't
that's
give a
true. Yes,
shit.
Modern Family for sure. But apparently we can't find a couple where neither care or both care.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
Always.
can't they both care?
Because that is my gripe with Modern Family, whether they were gay or not. I'm always like, do they like each other?
Always complaining.
Just as a couple, they've always annoyed me. Like, again, just based on the fact that they're always fucking fighting every episode. I'm like, just be nice for 30 minutes.
There's a gay couple that's on Instant Hotel, which is a great Netflix series.
Oh, we were talking about that the other
Yes, and they're literally described as fussy couple in their cry on lower third, and I'm like, this is doing great things for the community.
Good.
Can I just say one of my only? I actually laughed a couple of times, and I will say all the best lines come from the female characters. And Jennifer
Yes.
Gardner gets a couple. I'm still gonna say it, whatever.
Yeah, me too.
Gets a couple because she has a funny one that's where he says, "I'll be damned." She's like, "Probably." And I love that. I was like, it was
Wrote that
delivered
down, too. That was a good-
funny
that was a
joke.
good line. Yeah.
But someone says, "Is anyone missing figs?" And literally the whole whole wedding party's like, "No, it's good."
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we
we
laughed
laughed
I was like,
at
that was
too.
cute.
Yeah, I
That
was
was
like-
cute.
Yes,
just
everyone
for- wow,
it was
edited.
like it panned to everyone in the party like loving their salad, like delicious.
Yeah.
But at the rehearsal dinner, Paulie asks Connor to give a toast. He says, like traditionally the best man gives a toast, so will you do that? And he's basically like, fuck you, no, I hate love, and gives a 20-minute speech about how marriage sucks. Which, first off, if you're the best man, that's something you're supposed to know, like a long time in advance. Like, you're supposed to know you're giving a speech, not
Yeah.
being like, do it tomorrow.
This was Garfield's fault for choosing him as best man.
Truly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I will say, but it's not his fault because he's got 3 schlubby friends and
no
everyone
family.
else is dead.
Yeah.
Like, with all due respect, I feel like he
Choose
was
the
like, ugh.
choose the friend that he slept with then, or something. At least
Yeah.
she knows him. I don't know.
Denise. It was Denise. I
Oh, you
went-
can tell the difference between them.
I love them because I recognized her. I didn't recognize the other 2 female actors, but she's been in a lot of stuff, and she,
She's the middle one, usually the one that was in the
Yeah.
middle.
yeah,
Okay.
and then just
Thank you.
darker complexion, darker
Right,
hair,
right.
and she was on Daytime Divas, this weird little 10-episode thing that I watched. And I was like, why does she look so familiar? And it's because I've seen a much older version of her.
Oh, interesting.
And
Strange.
by that, I mean 10 years older. Which
Well,
for
oh.
women in Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Oh, am I right?
Oh.
She's practically dead.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's a ghost of girlfriend now.
I didn't know
Terrible
Elaine
sentence.
Stitch was
Elaine Stitch.
Elaine Stritch.
Yeah.
No, but now I want Lilo and Elaine Stitch.
I'm an alien.
Have you heard of an alien? Jazz hands. I don't know.
So, wait. So that also makes... No, Stitch is the alien. I'm sorry. In my head, I was like, Lilo's the alien. I haven't seen it. Guys, I've seen no movies but this one.
And Mean Girls.
So everyone's pissed at Connor. He goes up to his room, which we find out is like where he grew up, this house, essentially. And it was his uncle's house, was it? Or
Uncle Wayne.
like the family house. But
I know that's so stupid because they have a whole wall of his uncle.
yes.
But I didn't realize that until you just said that. That, yeah, it's the house he grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
house
that makes
they grew
so
up
much
in.
sense.
But who owns the house?
Uncle Wayne.
He dead.
So he gave it to the boys,
All right. They're just,
I guess.
Okay.
Uncle Wayne can pick up whiskey glasses. He can pick up
That's
a check
true.
and write a check.
It went to the Uncle Wayne estate.
Yeah.
So he goes to the bathroom, and his dead Uncle Wayne, who likes to party, tells him, he's like, "Hey, it's me, your Uncle Wayne." And Matthew McConaughey's like, "What? All right.
This is not all right.
Exactly.
And the movie gives us a musical scene to let us know that this is a ghost. It gives us like
Yeah.
garage band style, like do 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 do.
And he's like, "You can't be like me because my life sucked." And he's like, "What are you talking about? You partied and got all the pussy you wanted." And he's like,
I
"No."
don't feel like he said pussy, but yes,
He did, and then he went,
And then he
to
was
no
like,
one, because there's no one there.
Matthew McConaughey, Uncle Wayne, you dog.
and Uncle Wayne went, "Well, in this story, I'm Jacob Marley, so I'm going to tell you that ghosts are going to visit you." Ooh.
And that's when
I'm
Edward
Bob
figured it out when
Marley.
he said he was when he said he was a Marley.
100%. I went, oh.
No, but I want to talk. Okay, we need to stop. I'm so sorry, Haley. I'm going to stop this
Absolutely.
so much time. If you
Please.
guys listen to my podcast, every episode's mostly double the length because of me. Because I need us to at least start the dive into how these ghosts work.
Sure.
Because we'll get into the insanity of the Melanie ghost later.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Matthew McConaughey, can pass through the ghost, but the ghost can be corporeal and pick up a whiskey glass and drink out of it. I don't know if we actually saw the sip.
I like to think that the whiskey glass was also a ghost whiskey.
But he
glass.
picked it up later. Matthew McConaughey did.
Did he?
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right.
Oh, then that
because
ruins
he
everything.
also thought it was a ghost glass.
Yeah.
Well,
oh,
maybe
I remember
it's
that.
like-
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
Zach
you're
in that
right.
moment.
Oh,
Whoa.
So what is that?
What are the laws of ghosthood?
What kind of weird charmed logic
Well,
is
you
this?
know how, like, in Poltergeist, where the objects float? Maybe it's just sort of like a...
Oh, he's holding it, quote unquote, but he's actually just.
But if you're an outsider, it's like a
Just
spooky
like,
floating
Or,
whiskey.
or if you're an outsider, it's just on the counter. You know,
That's
like it's really that
Yeah.
kind of like twisted thing.
I mean, this is the least I think these ghosts do. But already then I was like, why make this movie more complicated?
Yeah.
Ghosts are a thing we can understand.
Right. We don't need new rules.
It's like we
for this.
we don't need to reinvent vampires or zombies or ghosts.
As Dua Lipa would say, I got new rules for these ghosts.
Get out.
Oh, this was fun. Bye.
So Uncle Wayne, his kind of like player uncle, who was his hero, who we find out like kind of raised him because his parents died at the age of 2 years old, comes back and he's like, "You don't want to do it like me. I did it bad. Yes, I got the girls and stuff, but it was bad. You'll see why, because ghosts are going to come to you. Get ready tonight." And he's like...
He literally says that too. That's not Haley making a joke. He literally says, your ghosts of girlfriends past are going to come to you, essentially.
Yes.
And you're just like, well, okay. Was that... I didn't watch the trailer. I usually like to because I feel like that was just said for the trailer.
Probably.
Maybe.
I haven't seen it
I
either.
did not watch that trailer.
Right.
All
That
trailers
and
in the 2000s
Christina
were bad,
Milian's
so-
line of like, you're the jerk. But like, I feel like half of this movie was just to create a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moving on, he after he's visited by his uncle ghosts, he's spooked. So he goes down to like the bar, I guess, where everyone's like hanging out. There's a bartender, blah blah blah. Everyone's getting drinks, and he is just
Oh, this
dumbfounded.
scene.
Yes, this scene. So he's drinking and sees a beautiful older woman, and instead of being like, "Are you a real woman?" and tapping her on the shoulder, he reaches out and grabs her breasts.
Just cups a full boob.
Yes.
She does nothing. Also, the movie gives us the same ghost musical sting. So
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, is the movie trying to trick
Tell
us?
I think the movie was trying to trick us, yeah.
But we're too smart for you, movie.
Yeah, we saw him grab that boob.
Yeah, and then so he realizes she's real, and then she's like kind of into it, like she's kind of like flirting back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so are we gonna do this? Or you're off limits? And she's like, I'm off limits. And I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, because he's the bride's mom.
Yeah. So that's why he can't do it. But
He was like, are we family? Also, just so everyone who's listening knows, this pays off zero. This is
Yeah.
basically the only scene with her. She's in some group shots later.
We
Yeah.
learned that she and the dad are like divorced, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they're not
because
in
the
scenes
dad
together.
character in this movie sucks. His whole thing is that he was in the Korean War
Yeah.
And he
Classic
was,
rom-com fare.
yeah,
Classic.
and he's like, everything I do is war. It's like an improv scene where it's like he's this but that, but he's like,
Someone gifted,
I live my life
him the
like-
idea of being
Yes.
in the Korean War. It only pays off once when he's doing the the wedding
Seating
chart,
chart.
and he calls some people Nazis. He's like, because they're little action figures and they're
Yes.
the Nazis. I was like, fine.
yes, but like, there's not a man this obsessed with war who was in war,
Yeah.
right? Who's like, everything I do is war.
I found they mostly don't like to talk about
That
it.
is true.
My uncle was mostly like, no thanks, don't ask me follow-up
It's like
questions.
kind of like the kids in middle school who get really into like guns and war and like
Right.
learning about it and stuff, and they're always talking about it and being like,
But they've never held one. They've never held a gun.
They've never
Yeah.
known the feeling of cold steel
Oh my
between
God.
their
Blood rushing out
puberty
of that other
fingers.
person's-
Guys, this is gross.
Oh, it's that type of podcast.
puberty fingers.
Puberty fingers.
So,
Wait, real quick.
oh my god, what?
No, this is serious.
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey, while he's talking to the mom, at one point in his like talking about whatever, he says, "Every night I swim in a lake of sex."
That's
A
right.
I almost,
of
I
sex.
almost made it my Instagram bio. I laughed because I was like, "That'd be so fucking funny," but I decided not to.
Every
But then
night
they
I
follow that out
swim.
with like, well, something. How about spooning?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
forking's better. I'm like,
Yeah,
all
my
right,
ass is forking.
great.
Disgusting.
gross.
So after the mom is like, no, I can't do you, but this blondie over here wants to do ya. He turns it on for the blondie who's
Dina.
Dina, who
No,
looks
I'm sorry,
like
Denise. I'm so wrong
Denise.
She
about
looks
that.
more like a Denise.
yeah,
Sorry.
Denise
yeah.
who looks like
Denise.
Samantha from Sex and the City younger. Like I feel like she could play young Samantha from Sex and the City.
She does.
So he's like, we're going to do it. You're going to meet me. And he puts on all the moves. And he goes to the bartender. That's how it's done. And the bartender goes, does it work on guys? And he goes, probably. I thought that was funny.
That was funny.
I love that. Also, that's how, again, all the jokes, there's no real characters, but all the jokes that are LGBTQ stuff are treated respectfully. He doesn't go, oh, he said, does
Yeah,
it
yeah,
work
yeah.
on guys? He's just like, oh, never thought about it, but yeah.
Yeah, probably does.
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
What
He's
a nice
not like,
way.
Ooh, check, please. Like he's like, does it work on guys? And he just sort of stares at him for a while.
now
I'll take that to
there
go.
is some gay panic later in the
Well,
movie,
sure,
but
yeah.
this I was like,
So
nice.
much less than normal for a character like this.
Yes.
That this is what made it feel a little like 2009.
Yeah.
Because later there's weirdly not a transphobic joke, even though they set it up for there.
Yeah.
And they actually very
I
nice.
don't remember that, so
Well,
you'll have to remind
yeah.
me.
So we get to the first ghost.
We got that first
No,
ghost.
no. We still have to talk about Jennifer Garner and
Brad.
Brad.
Oh,
It was his
right.
character's name.
We don't have to.
All right,
Just
I'll sum it up real quick. Jennifer Garner is introduced to a man named Brad
And Matthew McConaughey is jealous.
because they're gonna hit it off, and they seem
Yeah,
really flirty.
he's just like a really nice guy who's like a doctor and good at things.
Well, I would also say to Zach's point, because we're going to keep a diversity watch, he's also a man of color.
Oh
He
yeah.
is, true. You know
Again,
what?
I'm not saying this movie is good on its inclusion. I'm just saying a lot of the tertiary characters.
Nobody's giving it an
Our color.
NAACP Image Award,
No,
but
not this.
But
year.
we
they
are
did.
nominating
What a
it.
snub.
So now is it time for the ghost of girlfriend's past?
Yeah, Haley, we've been ready for
Yeah, Haley, you know,
20 minutes. God.
So he goes to his room, back to his room, expecting a hot blonde, and he sees rustling under his sheets, and he's like, "Ooh yeah, baby, let's do this!" And up pops Emma Stone with big red frizzy hair and braces, and she's like, "Ha ha! I'm the ghost of girlfriend's past."
And get ready, because from this point until the end of Emma Stone's tenure as the ghost is the redeemable part of the movie.
Yes.
it's a good
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Because she is fun and written funny.
Yeah.
And not written. Has very few like sexist things thrown about her, mostly because her character is 16.
Yeah.
So they get to shy away from
Right.
some of the
Creepy
grosser
stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So
she's also so funny.
she's so
so
funny.
funny.
I loved her when
She
she
should
like
do
first
more
came on the
comedy.
scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
more comedy, Emma Stone.
Hey,
come
Emma.
back.
Does she not do? I feel like that's what I know her for.
Well,
Does she not?
she's
Not
starting
anymore.
to do, like, I don't know, deeper stuff.
Now that she has an Academy Award.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
we're not going to see her in like a legit studio
She's not
comedy,
doing
I
super
think,
bad
for a
anymore.
while.
Yeah.
I feel like I always think of her as from Easy A.
Ugh.
Oh, she's
I love
great.
that movie.
So good, so good.
Another movie that's based on like an old book and property.
That's right, yeah.
Was that her
Yes.
thing for a while?
She's
Was just like, what's
only these old novels.
what's royalty free for Emma Stone?
Superbad was Titus Andronicus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So the first thing that she shows Connor is himself when he was like very young. Yeah,
Yeah, like 5, 7.
Well, they get there through a really fun device too,
They
which
do.
is only this goes. They travel via the bed.
Yeah.
yes. The bed
Right.
moves through the 80s.
From a production point of view, like it'll drive up to the scenes that he's supposed to be looking at like a car, and I thought that was a lot of fun. Just from like they probably had fun doing that on set, or it was a logistical nightmare. Either way,
If this movie had more goofiness like that, and
Yeah.
really like
Played up this is
took a piss out of
Goonie,
itself,
yeah.
I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it shows Connor with Jenny, which is Jennifer Gardner's character. They're on the swings. It's Connor's birthday,
They're
and
like 6, maybe.
yeah, like 6.
I
Let's
don't
say
know
6
ages,
years old.
yeah.
And she has
They're 40. They're older.
They're so short when they're 40.
and she has a present for him, and he opens it, and it's a Polaroid camera, which is moving because we know he's a photographer, so we assume that was the first camera he ever got. And he takes a picture of her, and it's very sweet. He's like, but he says this dumb thing. He goes like, oh wow, you look like a girl here, Jenny. And I'm like, okay, you could just say you think she's pretty, you dummy. Anyway,
how
then
boys
he's
work.
like, I'm gonna keep this picture forever. And that's the first thing we see.
I'll say this. I want to comment on one thing you said, which is we assume that's the first camera.
Yeah.
Later on, Jenny straight up says that.
She says it, yeah.
This movie is the epitome of tell, don't show.
Yes.
Because we assumed that. You
Yeah, we
assumed that in this
knew.
one, but later she's
And
like,
it was kinda cute.
wow, I gave you your first camera.
I did, Connor Mead.
End scene. Like, it's bizarre that this movie doesn't trust the audience to put
Not at
anything together.
Right.
Yeah.
And later she's like, these are your dead parents. She literally says a line that's just
They
like,
died.
they died. I'm like, yeah,
In a car accident.
we know. We've said it so many times. Also,
Yeah.
they're disappearing right in front
Right.
of us.
also he knows his parents.
Yeah. He met him.
I didn't even think about that.
He's like, yeah, I know.
hey, who are those hotties? I want to fuck them.
You can't, Connor. No.
Watch me try.
They're not real dead, and your
It just
parents.
becomes Back to the Future.
He would probably love that scenario.
He would.
Perv.
So we already see sparks of them clearly at a very young age liking each other. We found out his parents die at a super young age. His brother was only 2. And we see that Jenny was there through all of that. Then let's go right to this 80s high school dance.
Yeah.
Where they're wearing the white gloves and everything's super 80s, and it's about to be a slow dance. And Connor should be asking Jenny for a dance.
They're like hanging out because they're still best friends. And
Right,
back at that age, best friends just went to stuff together.
But they
Yeah.
flirt too. Like you could tell they like each other.
They clearly like each other, and he chokes and doesn't ask her to slow dance. But Pete Hastings does.
Ooh, Pete
This
Hastings.
stud who kisses with his tongue.
There's
Yeah,
nothing I like
no
more.
lips and tongue.
There's nothing I like more than the cliche of any high school friend always going by their full name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even with my unique name, I wonder how many people I'm JW Crump to. Like, the full name.
Like, I can remember the people from high school who got their full name said all the time. You know, it's like you had to be a certain, like, level of, like, either infamous or, like, corny to, like, get your full name said.
Did you not, Haley? Is that what this is coming from?
No one said my full name, I don't think. I don't know. My hot English teacher from my senior year refused to call me anything but Haley Jane. So I thought that was hot.
He refused to call me anything but Haley Jane as well. So I think
he had a medical
I was like,
issue.
you can just
Yeah.
call me Haley. And he was like, no, but your
Did you
name
guys
is so
know each other in high
beautiful.
school?
we did. We
We
were
dated in
smooching
high
up
school.
those halls, baby.
Are you these characters? Did you give Zach his first, I don't know, notebook? What would a comedian get?
and then
His
my
first
uncle took
podcast,
me out and
yeah.
was like, "You gotta fuck."
He screamed it. Yeah.
I was like, "We are in Chuck E. Cheese."
Yeah.
So he chokes Pete Hastings, dances with Jenny, and he's really sad because he wanted to dance with Jenny. So he gets in the car, and that's exactly what happens. His sexy uncle is like, nah, I got to teach you how to fuck girls. This is
This is
stupid.
Michael Douglas's finest role, by the way. Forget Fatal Attraction.
I love
This
the
is
idea of
perfect.
thinking, I gotta teach you how to fuck.
But that's, I mean, he
Essentially,
always
yeah.
says that.
They go to a bar to pick up women, yeah.
Also, we should also mention that Matthew McConaughey and his character Connor is there the entire time. Keeps talking to them as if he never figures out
Yeah.
that they cannot hear him. Even though, again,
Yes.
early on, Emma Stone's character, whose name I never got because she is Emma Stone to me,
Yeah.
she explains it because she's the queen of exposition. She's
And
like,
because
Yes.
this
she's
movie
like,
is...
you can hear them, but they cannot hear
Yeah.
you, and this is that, and this is you can't interact with stuff. She gives this whole spiel, and it's deaf ears.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of talking, I noticed none of the children ever did a Matthew McConaughey impression, which implies that he developed that accent later in life.
I wrote that down, and I probably screamed it during the movie. I was like, why does he have an accent as an adult,
Right.
but not as a kid?
Where did he go?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
You would think at least the middle
Right.
one would have, because kids, actors, whatever.
What is Matthew McConaughey's accent? Is it an
I mean, it's-
accent or a
People
voice?
just think he's
Where
Southern
is he-
because
yeah, where's he from?
people ask me
Texas?
all the time to play him in sketches, and I'm like, I don't think I'm what you want.
He's from
He's
Mississippi?
from Texas.
He's from Texas. Where in Texas?
Uvalde.
Space.
Space,
Uvalde,
Texas.
Texas, but he lives in Austin.
Honestly, if you asked him where he's from, he'd probably say Space, Texas.
Yeah.
A space.
They don't have to shower in space, so I'm okay.
Somewhere
So-
between Texas
While
and
we're
the
talking about
frickin'
him,
moon.
do we like Matthew McConaughey? I feel like he's someone I forget exists.
I don't really have...
don't
I have no
Yeah.
opinion
I don't
on
care.
him.
I feel like he's a good enough actor, but I feel like he only plays roles like this.
Right. Is he a nice person in real life?
He's
Do
got
we
3
know?
kids and a wife. That's something.
Okay.
Oh,
I was Wikipediaing him.
Has he done anything bad?
Oh, I was about to say, has he?
Controversy
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Hey.
Scoop-de-whoop.
Apparently, he's a super nice person. It says rescued various pets stranded after the flooding of New Orleans from Hurricane
Aw.
Katrina,
Aw.
and he rescued a cat for 2 use in Sherman Oaks, California. Oh God, he is constantly rescuing animals from
Aw,
bad
Matthew.
situations. Oh,
All right.
right.
You know
I
what?
guess it's
you
good that
learn
we
how to
didn't,
fuck.
it's a good thing we didn't go with our original idea, which was the month of Michael Vick movies. I'm glad we went with Matthew
Why
McConaughey.
doesn't he ever get rid of his accent for a
Matthew?
part? Yeah.
I think it's a brand.
I
I
think it's
guess
a brand,
so,
and I
but
think-
like this movie took place in the snow. Clearly didn't happen in Texas.
Michael Douglas comes and he takes Matthew McConaughey out of school for 2 years and homeschools him, and when he comes back he's a bad boy who just wants to smush, and he ignores Jenny.
Yes,
On purpose. Yeah,
because his
yeah.
uncles now taught him how to get the attention of women. It's a lot of sexist things like ignoring the woman and not complimenting her and calling her an ugly bitch. And he comes back. I guess he goes away for like 2 years at school. Comes back. He's got like long hair and ignores Jenny at a party, and instead fucks Emma Stone.
When the ghost Emma Stone is all about
She
that.
is
yeah.
living for it. She was like, it was the best moment of my life.
Even though it was literally 30 seconds.
Yes.
But she does that thing. Oh, when people she was like, it's already over, and that's a bit. But then it's
Yeah.
and everyone's first time is super short, right? Anyway, she leaves
Dad,
and she does that.
I'll
thing
let
where
you know
she's
when it happens.
using her fingers to wipe off her
Right,
mouth. And I'm
yeah.
like, we get it.
Like-
You didn't need to tell us they did a blowjob. We understand what takes 30 seconds.
Then another fast forward, and they're adults. He is now like basically an intern photographer, like secondhand would probably like be an assistant photographer, and he's getting real cheesy. She even Jenny runs into him, and he's like, "You're like totally cheesy now." And he's got like a dumb shirt, which she says he makes him look like a gay pirate. And he has the
Hilarious.
dumbest long Fabio hair.
I would say that's the only joke that I was like, that's pretty funny. He does not
does.
look like that. It's so funny that sometimes the people want to dress up douchey guys like gay men.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
that whole like Legally Blonde gay or European thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that whole song is based on.
And so they reconnect, and he's like into it, and she's like, here's the thing, we're not just gonna go fuck, you have to woo me. And then we get a fun montage set to, what song is this?
Time after time.
Yes, time after
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Emma Stone
I
even
think it
tells him, now what's going to happen is, here's a montage set to time after time of you two going on dates and having fun. So funny.
It
That
was
funny. She's great.
It was so stupid and meta. And again, if more of the movie had been those kind of jokes where they were it was almost a satire of rom-coms, but only during the Emma Stone parts.
That's what I wrote down. Like, if
you have such neat handwriting.
I know, it's beautiful.
Look at my monster handwriting. We have like the same notes, and mine takes up 17 pages.
No, I just have really
monster.
small handwriting. I don't know if it's good. There's no space for it to be bad. But I wrote down, if this were like a David Wayne movie or some such, where it made fun of the fact that it was a rom-com, where it was more like these Emma Stone moments, it would be a much better movie.
Yeah.
But I think it took itself too seriously, quote-unquote, earlier on for it to
that the
consistently be
tone
this.
couldn't like catch up to it.
There were too many tone shifts. Like, they needed to pick a lane.
Yeah.
I think it suffers from what I'm going to call the Meg problem. If anyone's seen the big shark movie, The Meg, where it doesn't know if it wants.
Look at you coining a term. Go on.
It doesn't know if it wants to be ridiculous, over the top, purposely corny and funny big shark movie, or if it wants to be big, serious action shark movie. Mm-hmm. So it lands somewhere in the middle and does not work because of that. And I think that's what it is. It doesn't know if it wants to be a sincere rom-com or if it wants to be the sort of like oddball meta fantasy. And because of that, we don't get either done very well.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen The Meg, and that's a perfect summation of that movie.
Yeah.
That is.
Are you the 3 people who saw The Meg?
We are the 3 people who
I
saw
was
The
there
Meg.
on opening night. Anytime a new horror IP comes out, I've got to support it.
Yeah.
I need to. Happy Death Day 2U's
Ooh,
coming.
cannot
So
see that.
and I'm buying a row just for me and whoever wants to join
We'll
me.
come.
Oh, we'll come.
I love
I
Happy
cannot
Death
wait.
Day.
It was
Oh,
so
God,
good.
so good.
Hey, so that sounds like a good place to take a little breather. I don't know. Let's go on the internet and surf the web. We'll be right back. So they're finally about to do it for the first time after all these dates and all this wooing, and it seems like they're so happy. And after they do it, Matthew McConaughey goes to leave. And she's like, no. I'm not the kind of girl who you shag and leave. I'm the kind of girl you shag and snuggle with. And he's like, okay. And he starts to settle into it. And then he's like, no. I can't do this because my uncle told me I have to fuck girls. Sorry.
He says that, yeah.
So he leaves. And then he has to watch Jenny being all sad.
And then this was the only time I thought the direction / editing was good.
Yeah.
Where it's on Matthew McConaughey and Emma Stone, and we just see, it's basically like time went faster because they're ghosts and she's just showing him things.
Yeah.
And it went from dark to day instantly as soon as he left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he got to see that part. And he's like, no, I don't want to see this part. And she's like, no, this is the part you have to see. You have to see how you crush people.
Yeah.
Or at least her. I'm not going
Right.
to say every woman he
Yeah.
fucked.
That was a nice moment of just, I mean, a nice little bit that we did have to see her break down and cry.
So then we go to basically it's like a hall of girlfriends past, and Emma Stone's like, we're
scene.
all here, and it's like a bar where all of the girls he's ever crushed are there.
Oh, this is amazing.
All addressing him and yelling at him and attacking him. And did you say there was a good trans character or something?
Well,
No.
let's not.
Good.
I didn't put those in that order.
Character.
Well, I missed it, so tell me.
Yes. So this is my favorite scene because, again, it's still goofy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he basically, Emma Stone leads him into a bar and she's just going to run down, look, you fucked over and fucked so many women. Let's just see them all. And then you get this big thing of 100 unique women on 2-sided bar he has to walk through. And if you've ever seen the Scrubs finale, it's the same thing where Zach Braff's character is just walking through. I almost said Braffio because I was trying to make it your name.
Nice
man.
celebrity couple name.
Yeah, it'd be easy.
And so it's that. And what's funny is they each get just one quippy little line, and in the end credits later, it's like, fuck for 39 minutes, girl, or whatever, because none of them have names because it's very fast. And it's like, we dated for a week, we dated for a day, we dated for 39 minutes. And there's this one character who is now presents as a man, and he just says, you knew me as Chandra. And he goes, oh. And it's an acknowledgement. It's not like, oh, whoa, whatever.
Yeah.
And then later, that Chandra character, because we don't get their current name, is also still in love with him, which I thought was a nice choice because it doesn't mean the sexuality changed.
Right.
I missed that completely.
There was
That's
some
so
writer's
fun.
assistant who was really trying with the LGBTQ
really
stuff.
pushed
Yeah.
for Chandra.
And you know what? It worked.
And then in the credits, it's barman Chandra.
Okay.
So they even called him a man in the end credits,
Oh.
which
Wow.
You're trying so hard.
It's a little
In
wins.
all the wrong ways.
Yes. This brings us back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
Oh.
So he comes.
Which is what Emma Stone says now.
Yes. Emma Stone's now gone. The ghost of girlfriend
it's
past.
a series
is
wrap
now-
on Emma Stone.
A series
right?
wrap on
Yeah.
Emma Stone, as we like to say.
except
Well,
for a
kind
small
of.
bit at the end, but who cares?
Kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
So
that
now
bit at the end.
we're back in reality, and the whole thing about this movie is Matthew McConaughey is so spooked during all of the times that he's in reality that he just keeps fucking shit up. So like, there's this whole bit with the wedding cake where he goes into the kitchen and just like the wedding cake gets fucked up and he's trying and it's falling down. He's trying to keep it up and the whole thing topples. And it's one of those moments in the rom-com where they're like, let's make him do this thing that's gonna be funny. But the thing with this movie is all of the things they wrote to be funny, all of the big actions weren't funny. The funny parts was like the dialogue.
Yeah, I kept yelling during
Consistently.
this scene because he wasn't calling for help in a
Right.
house that
Yeah.
he
I
knows there were
literally
people
wrote,
there.
this could all have been solved by one help.
Yep.
Because they would have come in and not been like, you were trying to destroy the cake. They'd have been like, oh, you saved the cake.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't get
Just-
what his point was.
it was like a 3-tiered
Because it was
cake.
also an accident.
Yeah.
It's not like he did this on purpose. It was
Right.
like a champagne bottle and it hit a leg or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted the scene to be over because I felt like I didn't need to watch. It was a waste of time. I was like, the cake's gonna fall. I don't need to watch this happen. I'm an adult. It was just like
Yeah.
it felt really dumb to
Yeah,
me.
all of the like the big like physical comedy things they wrote for us were not funny. The funny things about this movie was the quippy dialogue
not
that
funny.
randomly happened.
It's not funny or suspenseful, so don't put it in there.
Yeah, there's also this weird.
Or if you're going to do it, make it so quick.
Right.
Like,
Like
literally,
that's what I
champagne
mean.
bottle, leg, fall.
It didn't need to be the full scene of him like, is it gonna fall? Because it's not anything.
Because
Yeah.
we know
It was like it felt like 40 minutes in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of this movie, this cake thing, and it was not important. Basically, everyone was like, "Oh, there's another reason for us to hate fucking Connor,"
It does lead to my favorite line, though.
which is
So they all run in and they're mad at him. They think he did it on purpose because
Right.
he's got just the worst rep at this point.
Yeah.
And Lacey Chabert character, Sandra, instead of saying like, you jerk, you asshole, you whatever, all the words you'd expect, she goes, you stupid bitch. And I just love the choice.
yes, that's right. That was so funny.
I love the choice of her saying bitch because it was weirdly in character for the little we've learned about her is that she's just all emotion at this point. So I feel like that's her emotion word is
Yeah.
bitch. And it's so funny for her, you stupid bitch, and then just
Yes.
jump on him.
Yes, that was really funny. So that's really all that happens in the reality. Everyone fucking hates him again. And then there's this weird like subplot with all the bridesmaids trying to fuck people at this wedding.
Because they're like, we
Yeah.
all have to have sex, and they're like, Connor, you have to have sex with us, and he's kind of like, I bet.
We should mention that also one of them slept with Breckin Meyer's character,
Right.
Polly.
How does
Yeah.
this come out?
Somehow
Because I
they-
Connor
missed,
says it.
Not here.
I missed
though,
how this was
right?
Connor's fault. Because
I don't remember when.
No. Connor told
Blonde.
Blonde, and because he thought it was her, he was like,
Oh.
"Oh, you're the one
Yeah.
who slept with my brother," because I'm not going to do that. And she's like, "Someone slept with your man."
And then she admits it. The girl,
She
Yeah.
like tells
one of the other bridesmaids.
Basically, I
yeah.
think the blonde asked, "Who is it?"
Mm-hmm.
And the redhead is like, "Nah,
Yeah.
I'm the least built in this movie." And the one with the name is like, "It's me."
I did it.
But let's go to the ghost of Christmas present. I'm sorry, the ghost of girlfriend present.
Yay!
Who is the assistant Mel in a fun
Melanie.
twist.
Weirdly,
Yes.
I did not expect
But
her to come
so
back.
glad she came
She's
back.
just in the car.
Yeah.
and he thinks it's less. This is the one, the ghost that will get even more confusing later. Then,
Yes,
because
of
she is
course.
a person who is currently real.
Right.
Yes.
While the past person is a past representation, and the future one is just an image, basically,
Right.
of a
Right.
woman. But this is someone where he says, because he even called her, he's like, "Wait, is it you?" And she's like, "No, I'm a ghost. I'm in this form because I'm the only stable woman in your life."
That's so fun. I missed that line.
And I was just like,
He
what
says-
a bizarre choice, though, because that wasn't
Yeah.
true in A Christmas Carol. The Ghost of Christmas Present wasn't someone
They were
he
all
knew.
they were
No,
all
it was
just
like a
goofy
Santa Claus
characters.
guy.
The
Right.
the only one who was the only ghost in A Christmas Carol that was relevant to him was Jacob Marley,
Right.
Yeah.
who is not one of the three.
Yeah.
So this interesting choice, but I liked it. I'm glad this character came back.
And I like that the ghost version of that character is still just
her.
Melanie.
Yeah.
She still has the same relationship, and
Yeah.
it was an odd world-breaking choice, but I just like the character so much that I was like, whatever.
So Melanie, the ghost of girlfriend present, shows all of the conversations that are happening about him right now, and it's basically everyone just like shit talking him.
It's those 3 people that he broke up with earlier.
Conference call.
Yeah, he conference called, and they met up and they're trash talking him.
Oh, I was talking about the actual wedding party.
You mean the actual
wedding
wedding
party
party
was all trash talking him, and
That's
there's
right,
this
that's
actually
right.
really sweet scene where Paulie talks about how he was a really good brother and like basically raised him, and it's like,
And
you
had
know,
no
I know,
choice 'cause the parents are dead.
I
which
know
is very
you,
sad.
I know you guys hate him, but like, and redeems him in a way, which is good because at this point there's no fucking reason for us to like the main character of this
Yeah.
movie. So this is the one, I guess, like save the cat scene where we're like, oh, thank God he's a person.
But it still does feel like telling, not showing.
Very much.
Because
Everything in this movie is,
yeah,
but especially this, because they needed that.
They could have shown that in the girlfriend's present. They could have shown him being a good brother.
they could have shown him in reality, be like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry,
I'm not an asshole.
right."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah, I know, man. I'm Garfield."
And yes, you're right. Then it cuts to the 3 conference call breakup girls who are having like drinks together talking about how he's such
Which
a
I love
shit.
the idea of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then first of 2 times Melanie Ghost breaks the world. She takes them there. Then she says, "I've got to go. I'm here." And then the ghost disappears, and real Melanie is the one who is hosting
this
these
party.
3 women
Clothes,
and
I think.
apologizing
Yeah.
and just making her own girlfriends out of this conference call. And I love the implication that the conference call kept going, and Melanie was just like, I guess I'll just talk to you and befriend you because you're here.
Yeah.
But also, what does that mean for that ghost?
I do not
that
know.
she can't appear in the same room as real Melanie?
Strange.
Because they do that again later. And
They
it-
make
It's
a
almost
point
like-
of it, which
what's
is
the
really
horror
weird.
of being the
It's
ghost of
almost
girlfriend's
like they
present?
didn't shoot this separately. It's almost like she had a quick change and then was like, where they were like,
This is Zach's
play
flavor.
me.
I was gonna say this is gonna
Whoa.
actually like a really rich stage
Play.
production. Yeah.
So this like section present is actually like fairly short because then it kind of cuts back to reality pretty much right after that scene, and it's it leaked, the info leaked that the one of the D's fucked Paulie in the past, and now it's
Full fight between Sandra and Polly.
Yes, and it's somehow his fault, Connor's fault. Like I feel like this wasn't his fault. Like he let the information leak, but he
I
didn't.
think it all comes back to him because once he showed up, everything was
Right.
bad.
It was the last straw,
yeah.
sure, but it wasn't his fault.
But I will say to Zach's point, one of the very, very, very few times they showed without telling was in that before the Breckenmeyer speech.
Yeah.
Was when he's not around, everyone gets along better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yes.
was just
Yeah.
chilling. But as soon as he's just literally back in
Right.
reality, it's as if no one can contain their awfulness.
It's
That's
just bad.
true.
Yeah.
So
What a great person.
they blame him for letting it leak that one of the D's has slept with Paulie, so the wedding is off, and they ask him to leave, and he goes to leave, but instead is like woken up by the ghost of girlfriend future, who is this, of course, in the style of A Christmas Carol, this like non-speaking image of etherealness.
This was the most directly Christmas Carol thing.
Yes.
Like if you somehow hadn't gotten it before now,
Right.
this was the one where they're
Yeah.
just like, now it's just a Christmas Carol.
Right, because
We're literally going to see a Tombstone too.
yes, and traditionally in the production of A Christmas Carol, the ghost of Christmas future does not speak. She's just this ominous like dancer
Is
figure.
it a she?
It depends on the production. I've seen it with a ballerina, with
always
like
thought it was
a
the Grim
ominous
Reaper.
dancer. Yeah, and I saw it as like a spooky dancer. That's how I always.
spooky.
That's how I saw it.
dancer.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't like Fran Drescher. It's just
I
like,
would have loved that.
like a
She's
sassy
in a,
character.
like a bathrobe, and she's like, "Come on!"
You died alone.
Which is exactly what happens. It basically just shows Jenny marrying Brad, whom we have to talk about the gay panic with Brad. We didn't talk about Brad
Oh,
enough.
is he the one that Matthew McConaughey says this guy's gay, right?
Yeah, about if he does anything slightly non-masculine.
Yeah, that was the one. That was the only joke. I was like, you did so well. It was like when he
Yes.
was helping her, Jennifer Gardner's character, in like the kitchen or something.
Yeah.
He was like, you sure this guy isn't gay? And Melody's like, no, he wants to fuck your so
Your
bad.
girl, yeah. No, he's really trying to get it in. But that's really it. But it shows Brad and Jenny getting married, and he's like real upset with that. And it also shows Paulie in the pews of the church with no wedding ring on. He's like, uh-oh, my brother never got married.
And they almost showed without telling because they showed him without a wedding ring. Everyone watching got it.
We all get it.
And then he's like, he didn't get married to Sandra. I'm like,
And we're all like, oh, man.
He's not wearing a wedding ring? Yeah, we see.
Did he take it off or something?
that's probably a reshoot where they're like, oh, too symbolic.
Yeah. The audience is like,
Matthew
I didn't
McConaughey,
get
we're going
it.
to pay you $1 million to come back and explain.
How is the audience not gonna know that his fingers just didn't swell up and he had to take it off?
You know that
was taking a
classic thing
bath
where you
and-
put your left hand on the pew in front of you?
Drape it. Maybe they thought that like people were going to be on their phones a lot during it, so they're
Yeah.
like, we got to.
This was 2009. People had like beep 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 phones still.
Yeah, because so they had to pay more attention to
I had 200 texts a month.
I didn't even text a month.
You still don't?
No. Mm-mm. Do not contact me. None of you.
So the ethereal, non-speaking woman shows him his funeral, and the only person there is his brother. Nobody wants to say anything, and then he gets buried alive.
Yeah. Yep.
Uncle Wayne gets there and he's like, see, this is what happened to me and this is what will happen to
Yeah.
you. And then he pushes him in the grave.
Yep.
And then just faceless girlfriends.
Yes,
Yeah.
start burying him
Burying him
alive.
alive.
Yeah.
You know, a grim thing.
So this is my favorite part of the movie because it's something that was actually funny. He wakes up the next morning in the
this was good.
hotel again, in the
house.
the mansion again, which confusing because I thought he left. Whatever. So he wakes up, opens the window, looks outside. It's snowing.
That's
There's a
right,
little
this
boy
was funny.
shoveling, and he goes, "What day is it? What day is it?" And goes to the person, "You. Is today Christmas?" And he goes, "No, it's Saturday, you moron." Really funny.
That was really
I,
funny.
I wrote the line, that's my least favorite joke I've ever heard, so I'm very sorry
Is
to be
it really?
offending.
Funny.
I've seen so many versions of that. That's like,
Yeah.
maybe this movie did it first, to be
Maybe.
fair. This was 2009, but I feel like that's the joke you do is now. Like, what day is it? And they just say anything else.
Yeah.
It's funny. It works.
I thought it was funny because
did make it a
was
Christmas
a direct,
movie, to your
yes, it
point.
was a direct
That's true.
addressing of it. But again, I would have sacrificed this joke for this movie taking place during Christmas. Anyway,
It'd have been great if the boy had been like, yeah, who plans a wedding on Christmas? What a nightmare. And then it became like Sanders, this terrible person who made everyone do a destination wedding on Christmas.
My cousins had a wedding on Long Island at 4 p.m. on a Friday. And you know what my family did? Missed the wedding because we were in traffic.
All right.
Or work or a million different
A
things
lot
that
of
happen on
everything.
4 p.m.
On Fridays?
We
What'd
missed the entire wedding. We got there for the reception.
What did they get a discount? Like, why would you do that? Why would you do it at 4 p.m.? I'm
We
sorry.
have to be out by 7:45.
so we're back in reality. Matthew McConaughey goes to his brother and he's like, "What happened?" And what?
Is that Jennifer Coolidge?
I lost it a little bit. To be fair, I never really had it to begin with,
No,
the Matthew
no.
McConaughey impression. But he's like, "What happened?" And his brother's like, "The wedding's off. I fucked it up. You fucked it up." And he's
That
like,
was
"No,
information
no, no."
you should have already known.
Yeah.
Yes, we told you.
You saw the
this.
future.
And he's like,
Also, yeah.
"No, no, no, no."
You know.
He's like, "No, no, no, no. This will not do. I gotta go get her to marry you."
Or at least fuck me.
I'm losing my chance.
So he gets in the car, and this is one of the things that was clearly written to be funny and was not funny, because he drives this
This
car
made me very nervous.
down the fucking giant hill
His parents
through the
died
trees.
in a car accident.
Yes, his parents died in a car accident.
Thank you.
And
I
Matthew
thought the same
McConaughey-
thing. I was like, no, this character would not drive recklessly when his
in
whole
the place,
deal is
in
that
the place
people
where
die
he
in
grew
cars.
up, in
Yeah.
the place where it
He
happened.
also destroyed the house.
yes,
Instead
Yeah.
of opening the gate, he was like, no time for that. I've got to save this marriage I didn't believe in.
Burst through
and
the garage.
destroys the
Yeah.
house.
He like hasn't learned his lesson. He sucks still.
And so he's driving the car through the woods, like breaking nature and the car probably, and stops the wedding party that's about to leave. All the girls in the car, and he fucking makes her get out of the car, and he's like, "I'm gonna talk to you." And sorry if this accent's wild that I'm doing.
It's okay. I'll do my Lacey Chabert.
Perfect. So Gretchen Wieners gets out of the car, and he starts talking to her a speech about making this work, but like the speech isn't good, right?
No.
No, it's. Did he say
barely
something
anything.
like, "Hey"?
He made one interesting point.
which was like she was
not
searching for a
mad at
reason.
her friend.
Right.
And so if you're not mad at your friend that you're literally sharing a car with right now, that means you're not mad at what happened.
Right.
You're just scared of getting married.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
It's a good point. I don't love of all people, him explaining to her what she's thinking and feeling, a character you've never really met.
You're also
before.
very anti-love and weddings, so...
Well,
I
of
don't know.
course, the Christmas Carol has changed him. That's what happens.
Sure.
Happy Christmas, everyone! Now he's
I
got to go
guess.
find
A
Tiny
Christmas
Tim.
gift.
The
Who's
girlfriend's
Tiny Tim in this show?
The Korean War guy.
Oh, we'll get there.
Keiko, the archer, is Tiny Tim.
So he gives this mediocre speech, which part of it is just like, come on, you weren't even that serious back then, so it doesn't matter that your friend fucked him.
Look, you still want to do it? No. All right, well, you should get married to my brother.
And then she's like crying, and Jennifer Garner is crying in the car because the speech was so good, and he believes in love now. And the wedding goes on, and Jenny is all like on the stairs, like, oh my goodness, I gotta get all this stuff ready for the wedding. It's happening. She's got a clipboard, and she's like, photographer. And he goes, I know a good wedding photographer. This accent gets wilder.
I love any moment where it's a organized woman going down and being like, flowers, check.
Yes.
Lighting, check. This, she's like, oh, she didn't even have a clipboard. Like Jennifer Gardner doesn't even need
No, you're
one.
right. She doesn't
Memorized.
need one. She's got it
Also,
memorized.
is she in charge of the wedding? I know she's the
Right.
maid of honor, but she's not the wedding
wedding
planner.
planner.
No,
Wedding
but
planner.
like, if there's not a wedding
McConaughssaince.
planner, if there's not a wedding planner, which we will do, traditionally the maid of honor does
Reveal.
do a lot of these
But
things.
not organized.
Yes,
the whole
yes,
thing,
not the
really.
whole thing. But if you don't get a wedding planner, which a lot of people don't do, I'm not getting a wedding planner. Why can I plan my own goddamn wedding? The maid of honor helps with most of it.
Let me just say that for a wedding of this size,
Yes, that's true. They probably could have had one.
You know, a whole house.
but to
a
be
big
fair,
old
I
house.
guess they never had one because either that character doesn't appear, and also the father is doing the
Right.
That's right. The father's
Yeah.
helping out with the seating chart.
oh Sandra. That's why there were figs.
Sandy.
That's why there weren't figs in your
Because
salad.
you let your
didn't have
Korean War daddy help you.
yeah.
Figs remind him of
The Korea.
Oh
Korea.
God. So Matthew McConaughey agrees to be the wedding photographer, which is a character change, because in the beginning he was like, I don't do that. I only take pictures of naked ladies.
and fuck.
Yeah, he said that to Jeff, a character that had one scene and then never appeared again.
Jeff.
Jeff. A character whose name I know because, again, in that one scene, they said his name 3 times.
So he photographs the wedding, which wouldn't the photographer have been booked already, like months in advance?
Yeah, the photographer apparently fled.
Apparently, the best
Yeah,
man
was
didn't
there-
know the wedding was happening, so who knows what this
That's
thing.
true. Who knows? There's sweet moments where he's taking pictures of Jenny, and it's like, oh, he still likes her the same way when he took that Polaroid many years ago, which cuts to the swing set, this is where I realized that, oh, this is the house he grew up in, because I realized, that
Oh, I
swing
should have
set's
realized
the
in that moment,
same
too.
swing set from the first past scene.
I literally just thought, oh, how convenient. Another
Similar
At
swing
no
set.
point did I get that this is their house. It was
Well,
a
it
stupid
was.
observation
Because
for me
it's
not to make.
too nice and nobody lives there, and that's I don't know.
It is weird.
And they
weird.
just collectively own it because
Yeah.
the uncle is dead.
I
Yeah.
guess.
So they're on the swings again, and they're being romantic, and she's like, well, you seem to believe in love again. I really want to believe you, but I can't. You've just been such a shit all these years. And he goes, hold on. And he takes out
a
his
thing he said.
wallet and shows her that he has indeed kept that Polaroid that he took of her as a child many years ago.
Which
and it's
is
very
really
sweet. Yes. And
Another sweet thing that happens,
Yes.
and I don't know if we've skipped it or if I just read it wrong in my order, but he does give a toast. And I do like that the toast focused on Sandra.
yes,
and said,
that's
it's
right.
so nice. We have such a small family, and I've only had a brother for so long, but it's nice to finally have a sister. I was like, that.
Uncharacteristically nice.
And also well written,
Right.
and also something that people actually think when people marry into their families, which was nice.
That was
also, she
nice.
was someone he never flirted with,
That's true.
unless there's like a one-off joke I missed. But
No.
which
I don't think so.
again, a rare show don't tell. But he
Yes.
like
Right.
respected his brother,
Wow, rare.
not a woman, but his brother's relationship to her.
No,
No,
we
never a
don't
woman.
do that here, except his assistant.
And she had to fight tooth and nail Melanie. She had to slap him so many times.
So many times. So a big point of contention for Miss Jennifer Gardner is that she wants him to be there in the morning, and he says, when you wake up in the morning, I'll be there every time. So I guess they're gonna do it now.
Or Brad? Neil?
I would hate to wake up in the morning and just have Matthew McConaughey standing over my bed.
I've been watching you.
This is the hell I live
So
in.
they agreed to give it a go because he's a changed man, because spooky ghosts visited him. The end. But wait, not the end, because there are 3 post-credit scenes that are bonkers. Let's talk about it.
I want to talk about the first one because I've been waiting the
Please.
entire podcast.
I
And
can
I
tell.
know this is already your longest episode. It's completely because of me. It will get even longer in a second because
It's
I refuse
fine.
to
I
breeze
hope
past
so.
this. We get a I like this. It's the reception.
Yes.
And we get a revisit from all the ghosts, meaning Uncle Wayne and all 3 ghosts of girlfriends, past, present, and future.
Yes.
And it starts actually pretty funny. Uncle Wayne hits on the future ghost, and she just is like, she didn't say anything, but she's
Yeah.
like, no, and then vaporizes.
Yes.
Funny. Then he hits on Melanie, and the world changes because he hits on Melanie, and then she says, I'm about to, I can't do anything with you. I'm about to arrive here. And then Melanie Ghost doesn't disappear this time.
No.
She watches real Melanie enter, and all I could think was, what is going through Ghost Melanie's head right now? Because she is not dead, so she is not a ghost.
Right.
What is this ghost whole deal? And they just let Melanie hook up with Brad because, hey, why not? She's a
Because
great character. We all like let the
2 people of color.
Right,
Why
but
not?
also, why is Melanie invited
Why
to
is
this
Melanie?
wedding?
That was yeah.
He called her earlier to come to the wedding. I don't know
Maybe
why
it
she
was his
dressed like
plus
that.
one.
She also
I don't
didn't
know.
come to
Yeah.
the wedding. She came to the party.
Well, he called her, and she's their assistant. I get why she arrives. I don't know why she arrives done up in a dress.
Like 7 hours later.
Yeah.
Well, that dress took a while.
She had to sew it.
So then,
And then he like tries to hit on Emma Stone's character.
Yeah,
and she's like, I'm
16.
16. And thankfully they skipped the joke of like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
And she's
exactly.
just like, oh, gross.
yeah. No, I don't, never mind. I'm not going to joke about this. Let's move on.
Now,
You wanted him to fuck Emma Stone's ghost. Let's say
No,
it.
that's not it.
I didn't, for the record.
I didn't
I think
either.
that would have been gross.
Now that is the final post-credit scene that I saw. So I don't know about these other
Oh.
2 that you please
Yeah,
tell
let's
tell me
talk
what
about
they
them.
are.
Okay, so it's so stupid. So also one small note we missed is during the reception that shows the bridesmaids and they finally get together with just the 3 nerdy guys because
Yeah.
that was always going to happen. And they
Oh,
do
yes,
this,
that's the other
they-
scene. I forgot.
So the girlfriends or the bridesmaids are just like, we got to fuck somebody, right? We got to tie up this loose end. And then
Yeah.
they see the guys and they're like, whatever. Also, Matthew McConaughey, they all hit on him and he says, no, I'm a one-woman guy right now or whatever.
Yeah.
And he takes a picture of them. And it's one of my favorite small moments is all 3 women make a very different choice about what this picture is. One makes a goofy face, one's very sexy, and one just puts her arms up. And I actually think there wasn't a second take. I think they were just like, you're going to take a picture. And all 3 of those women were like, here's what I would do.
That lends
No
itself
rehearsal.
to his mantra as a photographer, which is one snap and then we fuck.
Yeah. He's never taken a second
Wave
photo
no,
of
no,
a
no,
camera in
no,
his
no,
life.
no.
But yeah, so that's one thing. They fuck. And then the last scene.
Here we go.
Haley, please describe this.
I
In full,
literally,
every
here's
moment.
the thing. I need your help because I only remember going, what?
Okay.
Because a character reemerges.
So they do the classic, the bride is going to throw the bouquet.
Yes.
She gets on
that's
the
what it
giant
is.
staircase. I'm looking Edward straight in the eye. Just to you.
Please tell me.
On the staircase, she throws it. And you think to yourself,
Jenny's going to catch it.
100%. Which I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because that is 100% what I was thinking.
Right.
Or just one of the bridesmaids.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
thought for sure it was going to be Jennifer Gardner was
Or
going to catch
Booby
it.
Mom, maybe.
While it's not? While it's in the air, or Melanie Ghost, the ghost,
And
not
she
Melanie.
hands it to real Melanie, and she's like,
and then
"Goodbye."
they kiss. Wow. She's whole again. She's no longer an assistant. She gets promotion somehow. Anyway, the
Yes,
bouquet's
yes,
in the air.
I remember now.
Slow motion. An arrow goes through it. And then they turn, and it's the archer, Keiko.
Yes.
Keiko. I might be pronounced that wrong. I apologize. And then redheaded bridesmaids goes, Keiko. End.
Yes. End of movie.
So-
insane.
Is Keiko dressed for the wedding, or is she like...
She's dressed like exactly how she was before.
She's in her Archer clothes.
It's been like 4 days. she's left in it.
It's such a bizarre... Again, there's parts of this movie that ending would make sense with.
Sure.
A lot of the Emma Stone stuff. If this was a goofier movie.
Yes.
But I do like the choice for one of the bridesmaids to just know who she is. And also it's the redheaded one who got the least characterization. So now she's got a whole backstory of being the one who's into archery.
She knows who she is in like an infamous way. Like,
Yeah.
I knew this day would come.
Is this woman really playing herself? I have to know.
I don't know.
Because I
Did they
don't...
need a real champion archer? Is that what you're basically saying?
Yes. Is this
archer,
a really a sixth place Olympian?
It wouldn't shock me if this movie did something weird like that.
Or was it just an Asian woman and they went, yeah, let's pretend everyone knows who she is. I don't see it in casting as anyone playing themselves.
Are you on Wikipedia or IMDb?
Wikipedia.
So she's such a small part. I feel like she's...
She didn't make Wikipedia.
She also doesn't
for
have
sure.
lines,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she may not have... Yeah.
How about this? That is a series wrap on Ghostly Girlfriend's Past.
Yeah.
We're going to find out who Keiko was, and we're also going to come back and rate this puppy.
Yeah, we got work to do.
We're going to take just a minute, though. We'll be right back. It's the Meet Cute. It's the McConaughssaince.
Yes, it is. All right.
We'll be right back.
Oh, we're still okay.
And we're back.
Woo!
We've solved the mystery of who Keiko is. JW, will you tell us who Keiko is?
Yes. And her character name is K-A-K-O. So it is Keiko.
Yes.
And it's an actor who has only been in this one movie, nowhere else to be found. Stephanie is her first name. Her last name is spelled O-U-M, so O-M or something like that. So I truly want to believe. I couldn't find anything else on that actor, which makes me think not an actor and probably an actual archer.
I'd like to believe so.
Yeah.
Which did they need to get a real archer for that role?
Yeah.
Because never once was the shot of her straight on shooting. It was always like her pulling the bow and then showing the arrow going through a thing.
Well, the arrow
Separate
had
take.
to be released at some point.
But
so
the
I guess
camera
they-
didn't follow from her hand to the
Well, yeah,
destination.
but I
could've
guess
just been
they had to...
anywhere.
But I wonder if there was wide shots where that happened.
They just didn't use it.
Which is
Yeah.
bizarre because the only two things she shoots, the bouquet, sure, whatever. You might do a wide shot of an expert archer doing that. Fine. Seems unnecessary, but I'll do it. But the other one is shooting it at Christina Milian, which they couldn't have done.
I think they just didn't want to hire an actress and an archer, so they just were like, we'll just do the archer.
Is Stephanie available? She's just a friend of someone for sure.
So we're going to rate this one. JW, tell us what we're rating it out of.
Out of perfect archers.
Exactly.
beautiful.
To honor Keiko.
To honor Keiko,
Thanks, Stephanie, for the memories.
the most important role in this film. Keiko.
She was the
According
tag.
to the redhead.
Literally,
She
her
was,
name
you're
is
right.
the tag of the movie.
Yeah. Wild.
So we're gonna we have our normal categories, and because it's the McConaughssaince, we of course have the McConaughey factor.
No, the McConaughey factor.
So we're talking about the McConaughey factor
Yeah.
as a fifth category. But first, before we get there, we of course got to talk about the chemistry.
The chemistry between the leads. Yeah, I actually felt it, which I think Matthew McConaughey played a really gross character, but they were clearly really into each other.
They stood so close all the
And,
time.
Yes, and I think I mostly bought it. It wasn't perfect, but I mostly bought that they had this past together. So I'm gonna go like like a 3.
Personally, gonna go with a 2. That didn't strike me as anything much. It felt like your kind of regular. She's uptight and no fun. He's all fun and no tight. And it just kind of, he's an overbearing guy, and I didn't think that he left much wiggle room for chemistry.
I'm gonna split that right down the middle, like as Keiko would, and give it a nice Keiko joke. Give it a nice 2.5 because it was better than other movies I've seen. It was more realistic, but yeah, they were still caricatures, I guess. At the end of the day,
I want to give it a 3 for the reason that I think Jennifer Gardner as her Christian name. I think she had a lot of chemistry with him. I think Matthew McConaughey is not the kind of actor that displays chemistry.
That's
he
a good point,
displays
actually.
acting. But most of the time, I bought that the Jenny character liked him, and she had a hard role because she had to both like and care for him and have this long past, but also know he's bad. Like,
Right.
she had to do a lot of like the chemistry lifting, and I thought she did good and he did poorly, so that's why it's a 3 kind
That's
of
a
in
really
the
good
middle.
point, actually.
Yeah. I also just realized I kind of like her. She's not an actress I think
Yeah.
of a lot. I also think I confuse her with Jennifer Lawrence.
I confuse her with Anne Hathaway. They don't
Yes.
quite look alike.
They both played Catwoman, though.
Hey, remember how
Yeah.
good?
That's
how-
not true.
Oh, no, wait.
no.
No. It's
Remember-
leather-wearing people.
Yeah.
Remember how good Jennifer Garner was in Juno?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was she, the baby?
She
Came
is
out at the
convincing.
end. Yeah. She was like, Keiko. And it was the tag.
So next we got the best friends, and I'm gonna wager that this one's gonna be tough to
This is
decipher
tough.
because who exactly are the best friends?
Are the ghosts? Can they be considered?
I
No,
think-
no. In this movie, guys, you guys
But we don't
have
know their
trouble
names.
with this category. The best friend in the rom-com is an important role because their only job is to just be like, we support you in anything. And in this case, I would say the dumb 3D brides ladies were supposed to be this. This just like dumb relief, but it was bad.
And what about the brother?
Would that mean that Michael Douglas is Matthew McConaughey's best friend,
Or is Paulie?
or is Paulie?
Paulie Shore? Garfield?
No, I would say that the uncle would
I
be
guess
his,
because he's like,
it's
don't
supposed
do
to
it.
just be like the sidekick,
Okay.
you know, like the dumb, like a talking parrot.
So you guys just do one best friend. It's not like the supporting cast.
No, it can't. We sometimes have to say the supporting cast, so we
Yeah.
have to
Like
figure
for
out who
New
the best
Year's.
friend in is. This, yeah.
I'll start by saying I think the best parts of this movie were all the supporting characters.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give this a 4.
Nice.
I think I actually.
But does that include the ghosts as well?
Yes. I think Emma Stone's the best part of the
Oh,
movie.
certainly.
Absolutely.
Melanie's amazing. And I think in some ways she is a best friend character to Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And Michael Douglas does well with what he's given. He makes us hate him, basically.
It's a
All
cloudy
the
area.
bridesmaids are funny. I thought Paulie and Sandra were funny for what they were given. I think the supporting cast was the reason to buy your ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Gay bartender.
it's just it's a cloudy area to decide like what's the best friend, what's the supporting cast. I'm gonna go with a 3 because I'm leaning toward it just calling it the supporting cast, and I think that the best friends in that sense, yeah, they did their job.
I really
Um,
do think it's Melanie, though, which is interesting. Because personal assistant characters often are the best friend.
I think if we are considering Melanie though, that skews a little lower to me almost because like she wasn't
Well,
like
because it's not like fun.
Oh my god.
yeah, she wasn't
Well,
fun.
no, she
JW
was fun,
is
but-
pissed right now.
It was just Melanie. It's a 7.
Put that pocket knife away, please.
She is more Keiko than Keiko.
Oh, she fucking wishes. I'm gonna go with a 3. Depending on who you say was, it's still kind of cloudy in my head. But if it's Michael Douglas, 3 sounds right. If it's Emma Stone, I'd give it higher, but I don't really see her as that role.
Right.
So 3.
I'm also going to go with a 3 because, yeah, if we are trying to whittle it down to who a single best friend is, if it were Emma Stone or Anne Mel and whatnot, I think I would certainly go higher because I love that supporting cast. But if we are going with just the bridesmaids and then maybe Breckenmeyer or Michael
Go
Douglas,
with your gut because I do think this one's tricky. So I would say if it's supporting cast for you, make it supporting cast.
And I
no,
get your point, Haley, but I don't think the bridesmaids are because, if anything, they're the best friends to Sandra.
Yeah, you're right. If this
Oh,
were
good
different, you're right. If
point.
this were a different movie, they would be. You're
because
right.
they are the literal best friends, but you're right. They are actually the best friends of a secondary character.
Yeah, you're right.
They all just gave them D names. They are not. They
No,
are
they-
tertiary characters.
Tertiary. I love
At
that word.
Best.
So what's your number? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then I'll just bump it up 0.5, 3.5, because they are important foils of sorts. And I feel like Emma Stone isn't given enough time to be a best friend. So I'm going to say Michael Douglas, 3.5.
I'll do 3.5 too, just somewhere in the middle. I don't know. I had fun with the supporting characters. I don't know.
Wish there were more of them.
Yeah, I could have taken a little bit more Mel being like, you dumb asshole to Matthew McConaughey. I think that would have fulfilled the role a little bit
saying,
more.
"You stupid bitch."
That's
Yes.
That line's my best friend.
So next up is
Are you writing down the numbers? Because I lost.
I got you. Next up is romance,
Which is not to be confused with chemistry. The actual written romance. Were the scenes romantic?
me. Zach is going with a 2. I thought the picture was romantic.
Yeah,
They
that was
kept
sweet.
That was a good romantic moment. Other than that, there really wasn't all that much. I didn't give really a fuck about Garfield and Meg from Family
No.
Guy's romance. There was nothing.
No, and his speech was kind of nothing.
Yeah, all
Like
the
his
speeches,
big
yeah.
romantic speech at the end, like didn't do much for me.
So 2, and I honestly feel a little weird about giving it that high.
I will say though, I don't think we should forget that montage of them on the steps where there was
that was
they
sweet.
were like leading each other into her
Oh
house.
yeah,
And then she cried afterwards when he left. I thought that was really sweet.
that makes me feel good about my 2. 2 is good.
Okay, then yeah, if that and the photograph moment, and then some stuff as they were kids, I think, yeah, a 2 is a solid answer. Not to...
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 2. Also, it in the end, looking at it, it wasn't that romantic, and I think it skewed a little more calm than rom. Do I think the calm was good? But I do think it skewed a little more calm than rom,
Yeah.
because a lot of it was just like, look at this douchebag with his hair gel. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like in general I like this movie more than the three of y'all, but I'll say this was my least favorite category, and I'm going to give it a 1.
Okay.
Because I think the movie at no point tried to be romantic.
Yeah, it wasn't that romantic in the end. I think the picture scene was cute, but thinking about it, I'm like, why did why was she so hung up on him? Like, because you liked him when you were a teenager? They're boys I liked when I was in middle school
Name
that I
names.
Come
sure as
on,
hell
who are
don't
they?
like
Name the
now.
names.
Yeah, we'll beat them up.
Name them. So now we're moving on to the comedy, which I think we've talked a lot about.
We have, and I laughed a considerable amount. Zach was next to me while we watched this, and you seemed like
Gross.
you were in disgusting. I know. I'm sorry to share that intimate detail of my personal
You
life.
guys see that couch right there? That's where I sat.
Yeah, I was on this side. He was right there where
Oh,
he is.
no, I
right
gotta
now.
You
shower.
like that, Edward?
Yeah.
He was watching it, and you seemed like you were in pain. You were so upset that we were watching it. Meanwhile, I was like enjoying myself. Like, I don't know. I thought there were things that were funny. I didn't hate the movie. It was corny, and Emma Stone was delightful. I do think it was a stronger com than a rom.
Well, I had a stomach ache first. Second,
From the movie.
from yeah.
yeah.
But also, yeah, I don't know. In retrospect, I think I found it funnier than I did at the time. But at the time, I was just, I don't know, I was like not into it at the time, and like I really hated Matthew McConaughey's character, and it was just like everything that happened. I was like, who is this for? But afterward, I was like, I kind of get who it's for.
Again,
I
I
don't know.
think the things that were written in the writer's room to be funny, like the fun and games of it all, like the cake scene and the car scene, the like wild like elements weren't funny. I think the dialogue was
Generally
actually, like,
sharp.
Yeah.
pretty funny. So
Generally sharp. And Emma Stone in the background of stuff. And like,
yeah,
all these
Emma Stone
little-
killed it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do like a 3.
I think I'm also going with a 3.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but I want to give it a 4. And here's why.
Go ahead.
I actually laughed out loud more than once, which was unexpected, and I never do. And I was watching this without Zach, so alone. My stomach felt fine.
Quit bragging.
But I have to say, as far as rom-coms go, and I've watched less than I'm sure y'all have, but I was unexpectedly delighted by a lot of the dialogue.
Yeah.
And also, Jenny got a lot of good lines. Mel got a lot of good lines. Emma Stone's character, Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, got a couple of good lines.
Even Michael Douglas got some hoots in there.
Except he
Yeah.
called all women dames. Go on.
I was
We all
shocked at how many times I laughed. And really, the only thing in person that was not funny was Matthew McConaughey.
I had a good time. All right, see you guys.
Pulls away in his car.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5, and it's. I don't remember how much I laughed out loud, but it was oddball at some points.
Yeah.
It was. I hate this word, but it was zany at points.
I mean, the bed driving up alone, which Zach mentioned earlier, that was just funny.
It was good.
There's some fun things that in the rare moments where she wasn't like, I'm a ghost and I can drive a bed, when they actually showed us things.
I'm actually shocked she didn't say that. I'm driving a bed. Like, ugh.
Like, I didn't get my driver's license, but here I am driving this bed.
license.
And now we got our new category, the McConaughey factor.
How Matthew McConaughey was he?
I
Because he
think-
was
I think
very
how-
Matthew
This
McConaughey.
was how Matthew McConaughey was he. And you know what?
In terms of Keikos, I think we're definitely just talking about how Matthew McConaughey he was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the first time in the history of this podcast, I'm giving something a 5, you guys.
That was my second note, actually, was this is Matthew at his Matthew.
This was
Yeah.
the most prime, just like raw Matthew McConaughey. And this was the end of his rom-com era. This was his last
yeah?
rom-com before he sort of transitioned out. So he really went out with a bang.
his
He had
final lap.
mastered
Yeah.
his craft. And for that, he gets a 5. This was, if you want to see Matthew McConaughey in a rom-com,
And a rom-com.
this is how you do it.
rom-com.
Well, it's 2009.
Now, the thing is, I'm like, is Matthew McConaughey at his most Matthew McConaughey a person I like? Like, I think I hate Matthew McConaughey. If
Yeah.
this is the most Matthew McConaughey he can be, I think I hate Matthew McConaughey.
But are we rating it in terms of how much we like him? Or
No,
how-
I think
you're
it's
gonna give it a
how-
1 every single time.
No, I think it's how Matthew McConaughey is he. And if
Yeah.
I were to describe Matthew McConaughey to someone, I would put on one of the scenes in this movie, right?
Which is a perfect telling
Yeah.
of that he did his
so
job.
I think I have to give it a 5. Which, isn't he a good actor?
He has an Oscar.
Yeah.
That I loved that chorus of uncertainty.
To be fair, so does Cher. Like a lot of people have Academy
Womp
Awards.
womp.
3 of the people in this room. Viewers, I'll let you decide which. Email them at meetcutecast@gmail.com. Is that correct at all?
Plug
The
it.
meetcutecast.
Damn it, sorry.
Do not email meetcutecast@gmail.com. They get very upset.
They are very mad. They have enough mail.
I'm giving it a 4. And here's
All right.
why. I feel like Matthew McConaughey is this, but likable. And the problem is that at no point does he Matthew McConaughey himself into like dumb best friend likable. Because we know him as
Yeah.
all right. Like
Right,
we
right,
know
right.
him as a likable person, and he couldn't. They were really banking on no matter how bad we write this character, the fact that it is cast with this person will
make him likable.
And I actually don't think he achieved that.
Enough. So I'm gonna go a 4. I'm gonna copy you.
I'm keeping mine a 5 because I'd like a plateau. I'm fine if it's just a plateau of 5s across the board of him just being himself the whole time. I think that's okay.
I think it's a very interesting and thought out point that JW brings up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
I'll see myself out.
Get in my car, drive away.
We skipped the plugs. But I will stick with a 5 just for now because I think that part of him, and I think I'm a prime example of it, is too quick to forget that likability and to jump to this. So because of that, it is kind of what he's known for, and it is kind of what people, I think, in a way, like jump to when they think of Matthew McConaughey. So I think, in a sense, maybe the McConaughey factor was in all of us all along.
Oh,
Wow.
right. All right.
How
Happy-
Gardner was Jennifer
Right.
Gardner. Our alternate reality.
Happy McConaughssaince, everyone.
A goose. A Christmas goose.
And connaissance bless us, everyone.
Hey, boy, what day is it? It's McConaughssaince.
So I'm going to add these up real quick.
I'm doing work on my computer.
Ring.
So we've added up the scores. And this film, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, gets 15.75 out of 25. Which is kind of a weird way to rate a film.
Yeah, out of
Yeah.
25. 20 made sense. 25 is strange,
Well,
but I
'cause we
can
added that
picture it.
5th category. But
Yeah.
Well, let's say though that if you were extrapolating this to 100, which is a score,
It'd
that-
be 63.
It'd be like it'd be over 60, and I feel like that's what something.
Or if you want to do it out of 10, it's a 6.3.
I would. While the rest of you
sounds
vamp,
right.
I would love to look this up on Rotten Tomatoes and see if our score is like close to that.
So
Because it
that's-
feels like that's what this
I
movie
think
is.
it got
is
a pretty low Rotten Tomatoes
Our score
actually.
is 63%, so let's see what theirs is.
Yeah. Oh, people hated this.
Oh, Mike. Okay. Don't tell us.
I
What
think
do we,
it was
what do you think?
27.
9.
I'm gonna go 16.
It was 27. Did you just remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
The audience
Cheating.
score is higher, which is 40%. But
That's
even
usually how it goes.
Still,
Still, that's pretty low for.
yeah.
Well, 100% of podcast hosts are fans of J.W. Crump.
Wow.
JW.
Good lead out.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
I was so shocked at what was happening. I was like, I don't get how podcasts work.
Oh, you don't? Not everyone does this? They don't rate their guests?
3. As people leave your house, I wasn't a fan.
All right, everyone, tip them. JW, where can people find you? What do you want to plug? Have at it.
You know what? Since it's a podcast family thing, I'll plug the podcast.
Do it.
I host alongside my fellow co-host Alexander and Hannah Jane. We have our own version of Haley named
Weird.
Hannah Jane. Yeah. I mentioned that and she was like, I need to meet her.
Nice.
I think if
spooky.
they met, something bad would happen.
Right.
So maybe
Do not touch hands.
Too much friendship? Is that the bad thing? It's called Pod Lead'em, which is Top Model Podcast spelled backwards, which is a gag from the 17th season of the show.
Oh my God.
It's an episode by episode recap. We're currently in cycle 2 of 24.
Oh my
And
God.
We're about to record the last episodes, but we've always loved this show. And the best thing about Pod Lead'em, the podcast, which is available where on Google Play and iTunes and where all good podcasts are found, is that people come out of the woodwork remembering this show, and every single episode is on Hulu, so it's so easy to watch the show for free, or at
Right.
least with a Hulu subscription, and then listen along with us. And we've started doing a cool thing which I like, which is I research and I find where are these people now. Like every eliminated person, we find out where they are now, and some of them do really cool stuff, and really a lot of them aren't models anymore, but a lot of them are really fun. And the more current we get, the more often they have an Instagram account, which is helpful.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because some of them are like in their 40s and just
Yeah.
they're not models anymore, and they're just like, I'm a mother and I'm done.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you again for being on the show. What
Thank
are
you,
your
guys.
social handles?
I'd love to come back, and don't edit that out. That way you'll feel bad every time you listen.
That's gonna be just all we keep in.
Yeah.
It's a very short podcast.
He said he wants to come back, so we didn't use this one. We'll do the next one.
I want to retry. That's what that means.
What are your social handles? Where can people find you?
The main thing I like, because I'm mostly a comedy writer, is Twitter. So at JW Crump, JWCRUMP, and Instagram if you like seeing pictures of me doing various food and diet fast.
Ooh.
Cannot
is-
wait.
Yeah, I haven't eaten anything but potatoes in the last 3 days, so I can't wait to listen to this back. Is at JW is awful.
Love it.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, for everyone here at the Meet Cute in the Age of the McConaughssaince, I'm Zach.
I'm Haley.
I'm Edward.
Stupid bitches.
Good night, good night, good night.